Good afternoon, my name is Oleh and I want to thank everybody who joins us in Ukraine Media Center current form. It's day 481 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor, and now we will be talking about the situation in Kharkiv region. Joining us online is Oleh Syniehubov, the military governor of Kharkiv region. Good afternoon, Mr. Oleh. Good afternoon. Mr. Oleh, we're seeing that within the last couple of days and weeks, Kharkiv region ends up under constant shelling by the enemy. What is the situation for today, and what are the consequences that you can tell us about? Well, analyzing the last day, for example, in fact, all of the populated areas located along the border, 20 of them in total in the Kharkiv district, Lipsy, Morozova Dolina, in Bohodukhiv region, Vovchansk from Chikuev district, Kupiansk district, end up under enemy shelling. The enemy strikes from mortars, tanks, cannon, artillery, and MLRS. The enemy targets the populated areas, the residential areas mostly. There are no other military or critical infrastructure there that can be somehow tied to their defense industry, so it's only the terror of the local population. And obviously in the Kupiansk direction, the enemy tries probing the positions of our military because the front line runs right there. Still, enemy suffers losses, and under the fire of our warriors, they are forced to withdraw. What can we say about the humanitarian situation, about the critical infrastructure in those populated areas under enemy's fire? All those areas are in the distance from 5 to 10 kilometers from the border, and in some areas we cannot even complete the demining and restore the electric power supply there. So currently we have about 6,000 consumers, or I would rather say not consumers, but 6,000 households located in those population areas that are still without power supply. People still stay there, is their principal position. They don't want to evacuate from their homes, and obviously there is no electric power supply there. We restore the supply where we can, and for example in Lipsy there is power supply, but quite frequently the network is being shut down due to the destruction resulting from enemy fire, and we have to work on its restoration on a weekly basis. I would say where we cannot do it, the people find it difficult staying there, really. Talking about the very city of Kharkiv, what is the security situation over there? Well, the city of Kharkiv almost every week ends up under enemy strikes. The enemy uses S-300 air defense systems. The enemy changed its tactics recently. Within the last couple of weeks they started inflicting more strikes with kamikaze drones of Shahed type on Kharkiv and adjacent populated areas. Our air defense forces work against them works successfully, and we try to adapt to the new tactics of the enemy. However, they continue targeting specifically and exclusively the residential areas. So nothing that can be somehow connected with the logic of the warfare. Mr. Oleh, what is the situation with displacement of people? We understand that the situation in the city of Kharkiv and in Kharkiv region is different. So what is the dynamics that you sense? Are people coming back to Kharkiv or to Kharkiv region, or is it the other way around? Well, talking about Kharkiv, the population is currently about 1.2, 1.3 million of permanent population who stay in Kharkiv on a permanent basis. Internally displaced people amount to about 490,000 people. Those people evacuate to the region, including the city of Kharkiv itself, from Kupiansk district, from Izum district, from the city of Izum itself. They come closer to megapolis, sometimes to leave the dangerous areas of their residence, and also they try looking for new jobs. So yes, people are coming back to the city of Kharkiv, but part of those people who were forced, so to say, to run from the war are part of those people who come back to Kharkiv. Well, the question would be about the preparation to the winter season. Maybe some might say that it's too premature to talk about that, but for those who live close to the forward edge of the battle area, it's a pressing issue. Are those villages and towns preparing for the cold times? Do the people prepare to spend the winter over there? Well, you know, we started preparation to the new heating season right after the end of the previous season in the spring this year, because the minimal task for us is to preserve the level of preparation on the same level as the last year, and also to create the reserves, because we clearly understand that the enemy will continue to rise in local population and striking the substation, the generation facility, thermal generation facilities. That's why we have to do everything we can to make it by the winter, by the colds, to improve the protection, to reinforce the air defense capabilities. And the second level is obviously that we have to restore the residential areas to the maximum extent and to provide the mobile boiler rooms. We have plans for that. We have funding allocated for these purposes. Last week there was a relevant resolution by the Cabinet of Ministers to allocate the funds for restoration. This is why our task by the beginning of the new heating season is to restore a significant number of residential areas, residential buildings for those who are ready to come back to their homes. Mr. Oleh, we understand that we can do nothing about it. Kharkiv region is bordering on the enemy. Do you prepare in cooperation with the military some fortification structures, if we may mention it in our broadcast, and if such construction is underway, so what are the challenges that you're facing as the region in general? Yes, we'll clearly understand that the enemy has not lost its intentions regarding the city of Kharkiv and the Kharkiv region. They demonstrated clearly in Kupiansk direction, where they attempt assault actions almost every day. And that's why we continue increasing our defense capabilities. We create fortifications and implement a complex of measures that we work on 24/7 to make sure that our security and defense forces could repel the enemy attacks more efficiently and to deoccupy our territory in full. Dear colleagues, if you have any questions, please proceed. Thank you. Good afternoon. Olga Apanasenko, Ukrinform. The village of Sirkuni was added to the program for restoration better than it used to be, but from what I understand, after the systemic shelling, it was decided to remove it from that list and to pick another village. Is such place already picked, and have the demining works started over there? Thank you. As to the village of Tsirkuni, for the time being, the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers is not amended, and the military administration is tasked to coordinate all activities to complete the demining in that area. The residential areas are 80% recovered, and now we will be waiting from the recovery agency for the new plans for restoration of this village. If the resolution will be changed as to the recovery of this village, so we will have to propose either alternative populated area, or we will wait for the military situation to change in that area. Thank you very much for this broadcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm reminding you, dear colleagues, joining us was Oleh, the military governor of Kharkiv region. And right now our team is working on the schedule for tomorrow. So stay tuned, stay with us, and we continue working for our victory. We thank our armed forces, our security and defense forces, and glory to Ukraine.